All right, well, let's go ahead and get started, everyone. Welcome to our webinar tonight. We're going to be talking about the triple crown investing strategy, about buying homes, achieving double to triple rents, and solving housing insecurity. So with me today, we have Frank and Sherry Candelario. Frank has been with Best Choice Realty, where we just discussed, I think 2015 is when you joined Best Choice, Frank, and he joined because of his ideas, and he talked about Sherry and what they were building, and they really have built a wonderful foundation and have had some really good success with some of the properties that has been housing some potential people in our area that are actually in a good situation. And that's what we wanted to celebrate today, is the success that Sherry and Frank have had with Best Choice Realty and with their foundation, Kate's House. And hopefully tonight you guys will take away some ideas on how we can support these efforts, because it is a worthwhile cause. So with that, I'll turn it right over to Sherry and Frank to go through the PowerPoint slides. I believe you guys said that we would have some time maybe for some Q&A after. So if you do have questions or comments, if you want to just message those in the chat, Shannon at the very end will go ahead and open it up for Q&A. So welcome, Sherry and Frank. Thank you for taking the time. We're so glad to have you guys on our team.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. It is an honor to be here, and hello to all our Best Choice broker friends.
Since you got our title slide, we'll just start with the next slide.
Well, anyway, yes, I'm Frank Candelario with my wife, Sherry. And as I was thinking earlier, you know, we started a project a long time ago when we were called Visionaries, but we started with the vision, and that started about 2015 when I walked into Rochelle's office, and after actually passing my real estate license test, thank goodness, for the second time. I told her about a vision that I had to buy and sell real estate, end homelessness, and serve others to help for a better world. So anyway, I'll get Sherry to introduce herself, but basically we like to buy and sell real estate to serve the less fortunate.
We decided to go into real estate investment like many people do. I have a PhD from University of Washington Medical School, but what I found out, like a lot of 50-something-year-olds, is that there's no security when you work for somebody else. And Frank, too, was having a major life change, and we thought we were interested in real estate, but we weren't interested in just investment per se. I'd had some experience with a teen daughter with addiction. And even though I paid for wonderful hospital care and after treatment, I found that recovery housing, particularly in the state of Washington, really was of poor quality and did not really serve the purpose it was supposed to have. So we came with the idea that let's buy real estate. We have some expertise in the area of medicine, and let's be the Nordstroms of recovery housing.
I'll tell you, because what we learned was recovery housing industry is a $29 billion industry. It's huge. And also the industry is kind of like the wild, wild west. Anyone can start a recovery house. And some of them are okay, but some of them aren't. Let's just say they could certainly have room for improvement. And so Sherry and I were trying to figure out a way, how can we invest in more beautiful houses and safer neighborhoods and in appreciating neighborhoods and serve this recovering industry. And we actually found a formula.
Next slide.
So I was talking about 2015, and I told her of a vision that I had. This picture and this poster started showing up when we were doing symposiums a year later, and we are getting awards for our crazy concept of investing, getting a return, but serving, and using real estate to end homelessness. And so you can see this is a 2016 quote, 1 year after I talked to Rochelle, and it says, "It showed us the power of being property owners, and this power enabled us to realize our dreams to serve others for a better world." And that's Sherry and I, ever since the day we met and got married, we've had a burning desire to find a way to serve those who need better housing.
So as real estate brokers, you know better than anybody, there's a lack of affordable housing in Seattle. And we're inundated with the tech industry. I'm part of it, you know, with these people with higher salaries. They're competing with normal middle class people trying to get a home. And this affects your clients. If your client is like us wanting to invest in real estate, it's really, really challenging because we know it's going to be difficult to have a family to cover those expenses, or it may cover the mortgage, but it's not going to cover a repair. And so we started asking a lot of questions. Is there such a thing as socially responsible investing? Can an investor make a difference by using a model of socially responsible investing? And can we solve the issue of housing our veterans, disadvantaged women, women who have gone through a divorce, mothers with children, people in recovery? If we had more than a half hour, we would tell you the stories of women that we met who were living in their cars so they could pay child support. There's a lot of worthy people out there who can't afford housing. And we, as people in real estate, people who buy and sell real estate, people who are interested in rehabbing real estate, we have the power to make a difference in the lives of so many people, because not everybody is an Amazon tech person. Most of us are pretty normal people. So we started Kate's House Foundation and honor my daughter, Kate, to be high quality housing. But then we said, it's not just recovery housing, it's all of these groups of people. It's kids aging out of the foster care system. It's people with disabilities. It's adults, older adults looking for something that's not quite an adult family home. So we started shared housing solutions, and our mission is we're really socialpreneurs. We want to provide shared housing in single family homes.
Socialpreneurs, we love that.
But it's in escalating neighborhoods. So we're buying homes in White Center, in Burien, in Tukwila, in the North End before the North End became a thing. We're looking for places where we can do all the things real estate people want to do, which is get appreciation, have a quality house, have an income, but do something good with it. But even more so, and we're going to explain, state and federal government are paying our mortgage and expenses, and we're paying a premium. So how do we pay for real estate in Seattle? We just kind of summarized it. It's really, really hard. It's multi-offer situations. Even young couples can't come in and buy a house. So we had to have a different way of looking at it. Next slide. There you go.
Oh, well, Seattle has a lack of affordable housing. I mean, here's a problem. I'm going to read this. Oh, yeah. Let's get this right. Hello, everybody. For investors, rents do not cover the cost. In other words, so we took these classes, we learned how to buy real estate. And so you buy a house in Seattle, it's so expensive. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to get some very wealthy person who can rent this house, who can actually give me even a little bit of a cash flow. And that's very, very difficult. So we had this compassion to serve others who would want to be housed in a nicer neighborhood, even though they have to share the house, a beautiful house. But we can combine that thought with being able to get a better cash flow. So all of a sudden we came up with a way to rent by the bed, 2 beds to a bedroom. We get contracts. In fact, some of our contracts right now are up to $850 a bed, $1,700 a bedroom. So we're making a very good cash flow, and we're able to pay for these houses. But the main thing is, a lot of these people who are used to the recovery housing, they're usually in the sadder part of town, very difficult, not so nice. But now we're housing over 50 people who wake up every day in a middle-class neighborhood with middle-class neighbors who love us, who wave to us and support what we're doing.
One of the things, we were in New York City and we were at the John Lennon Memorial, and Frank took this picture, and we were just starting purchasing homes. In fact, we bought 3 $500,000 homes our first 6 months in the business. Imagine a world where everyone threw out a lifeline to someone in need. What we found is when you do that, it works. You get the contracts, you're helping people, and you own the real estate. Next slide. So our solution of shared housing is we are solving homelessness. And because we were shocked by what homelessness really is, it's not typically the people living under a tarp in downtown Seattle. It's a lot of our people right now going through the pandemic in the restaurant industry who have lost their jobs. It's everyday people where some big life event happens, but we're also ending poverty. We started with the idea of recovery assistance, but we've moved so much bigger. It does counter inequality, and something we talk a lot about in Seattle. But what if you bought one house and you housed 8 people, because we're going to show you how we do this, and you're getting double to triple rents, and you are personally countering inequality. You're improving lives. One thing we have found is we reunite families. When we first started in 2016, we had 24 women, all who had gone to prison for minor felonies while they were using drugs. That was it. And I'm not condoning any of this, but that was how they found themselves in prison. But we did a head count, 80% were mothers. 80% were mothers under 35. By living with us for 6 months, they were all working, they were all doing well. They all have custody of their kids back. In fact, I just gave a reference for one of our women who was getting an apartment on Mercer Island, so her autistic son could get specialized schooling. So when you talk about the power of housing, you know, I don't believe in the idea of buying a house unless you know who's going to go in it. It's too big of a risk. And, you know, we're tapping in billions, and that's the letter B of dollars in federal funding for housing programs. So next slide. We were Hall of Fame winners. So the classes.
How did that happen here?
This was interesting. We read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And the classes that we took, he was affiliated with at the time. And this was 1 year after our classes, and we won Hall of Fame, not for the fact that we had millions of dollars worth of real estate. I think we had about $1.5 million at that point.
Just getting started.
But the idea of shared housing to change society was why we were winners. We'll look at the next slide. You know, so what we do, and we work with people all over the country. We mentor students. We've been teaching this for 2 years because there's been a push for recovery housing to get away from the wild, wild west to national certification standards.
This is very, very exciting, this aspect.
So there's been a change in how this is administered. But we locate and identify properties in neighborhoods that are undervalued but stable, just like you do. We work with investors who may be wanting to do what we do, and we can help them start or grow their real estate portfolio. We found there's a huge desire for people with money in Seattle to want to do something worthwhile with their money, but also get a tax deduction, because that is a possibility. And we screen and identify our residents who come into our house. And at any given time, we have contracts with state and local governments, the Veterans Administration, and drug courts. We manage people, properties, and contracts. Next slide.
We're rushing through these because we want to make sure we don't take too much time. So real estate, pandemic. Now, so we love this because our business model is simple. Let's buy beautiful homes in appreciating neighborhoods. Let's fill it up with density, get a higher cash flow, and we're golden. We don't have a husband, wife, 2 kids, and a dog paying rent. So when Boeing goes down, we're stuck with the mortgage. We have people who just don't move. You know, they love it there, and we're getting paid by government funds that never
or their
run
jobs
out.
by that
or
time.
their jobs by that time. But anyway, as a pandemic came, we have a lot of friends who had Airbnbs. In fact, we've got one ourselves, that all of a sudden the pandemic, and they got, like, we have $1 million condo in San Diego that stopped being used.
$1,000 a month out of our pockets.
That's a risk. That's a risk. And that's no big deal to us because thank God our contracts are so well, and we have so many houses that are cash flowing. It didn't hurt us.
Yes, it did.
We were able to make the payments. It just didn't slow us down, and now it's coming back around. But what we want to say is, during the pandemic, many people struggled and suffered in real estate investing, but we flourished. In fact, we probably increased our business more than 30%.
50. We went up
34.
You know, and one thing to kind of think about, because we all know there's uncertainty right now, and it's going to continue. I probably know it better than anyone. I'm a medical scientist, and people are nervous. But a down real estate market can be a great real estate market to make money. You know, I always think of, how do we solve your problem? You're going to have people who are going to have problems in September. You know, they're people that are renting to are not paying the rent, and there's no consequence for this. So, you know, how do we solve the problem? Here's a thought. Let us know about some of these people, and we could look into being purchasers of those homes. So why single family homes? Why are we interested?
So this is our wheelhouse, okay? And this is something that just evolved. Like, people say, well, you have so many housing needs. Why don't you get apartment buildings or multiple families? And that's fantastic, except what Frank and Sherry want, we want a beautiful house with good curb appeal and something that we could sell right away. And so that's why that's the classic investment. We don't want a house with a bunch of added bedrooms in the garage and extra wings, this and that. We want the classic American single family home, and we want it to be beautiful. And that's investment. That's what we like.
And we know how to rehab. Okay,
Yeah.
Next slide.
We can do slight rehab.
Okay, I'm going to let you read this, but basically this kind of points out to some of our typical houses. We're getting double rent because we're putting 8 people in a house, and we're paid by the state of Washington. We're going to show you a letter through one of the programs that pays you directly as a landlord to take people. And we're also paid by local governments, whether beds are filled or not. And one thing we have learned is that our residents sometimes like to continue to rent with us because of their life history. Is difficult to get another place, and they like living in a nice home in a nice neighborhood.
Many people ask us, how long are you going to let us stay here, even though we're off supervision? And our attitude is this: we're investors. And, you know, our main concern is you doing well and getting off supervision, getting your family back. But if you are paying our mortgage, why would we want you to move? We'll just buy another house. So can you see how it's wash, rinse, repeat with our business model?
Next slide. We rehab.
We have done our share of rehabs, but now, thank goodness, we usually buy move-in ready houses. But these are some of the funny things in our past. See that guy in that sewer thing right there on the far left? Well, it's a house, so they got to do the hard work. The second slide to there, that was probably had 6,000 cockroaches in it, and we had to gut that house. But it's one of our most beautiful houses, and haven't seen a cockroach in there ever. And this one here was our very first house. Hey, we're going to try this shared housing, and we got a mother, her 2 kids, and a cat. The cat had fleas, the kids had lice, and she had MRSA. So
we screen better now.
And we never got paid for that. So next thing you know, we got off to a bad start. We made a few mistakes, and that's me after I'm going, sometimes why am I doing this rehab stuff? So what we're able to do now, in fact, our last house was a $540,000 house, move-in ready, and is cash flowing fantastically. Please watch this video, and you'll get a better idea of exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
Can you hear the audio, Sherry?
No?
No.
Well, this is our. We can link it later, so that'll be fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, but it's a good video. I've watched it before too. So yeah, we'll just link it in the video, and you guys can promote it. That's cute because you can see the people. I think that's what I loved about it the most, was the people that you're helping.
I think that part, Rochelle, what I loved, and there were, I think we had about 20 students that we were teaching how to do this. And many of them have opened up houses throughout the country themselves. And, you know, I just love the idea of being able to pass on what we're doing to other people.
Yeah. When you can offer quality housing, people get their lives back, they get their kids back, they move on. And so Sherry and I's goal is, how can we serve more people? And we've been able to do that by teaching and training other people in states all around the country, because the need is so great that just mimic what we do and we'll show you how. And therefore, more people are being served.
I wanted to share this letter with you. It's a few years old. Basically, this is from the Department of Corrections. This is a program that very few people know about unless you're in our business. But the state of Washington will pay people who house. This was at $500 a month per person. We're now getting $700 a month per person from DOC. And they'll pay it for 3 to 6 months, sometimes up to a year, depending on why that person is being sent to you. And this is automatic in your bank account. They come and inspect your house. And the people they send to you are really low risk people. These are people who, you know, at one point we had a house full of women who had all learned to build high rises while they were in prison. And so we put this forward to share that we're talking about buying real estate, but always we're thinking about who's going to pay for that house, but not us. Next slide.
Mhm.
One of the things, this is near and dear to our heart, is I go back to the times when my daughter was going in and out of recovery housing, and sometimes the houses look great, and then people were really nice to me, but there wasn't any morals in the people who owned the house, because what they could do if Kate was late for a meeting or didn't do her chore, they would just tell her she had to leave and they put somebody in her place. So when you do the math and people are renting by the bed, the more people they can get in and out of that house, the more money they're going to make. And so this has become known throughout the United States of America. Recovery housing has been around since the 80s, but there's a national alliance that wants to change that. And so 31 states have signed on to say that houses must be certified and follow certain regulations. And they're not difficult, but they really protect the people who move in with you, particularly in fiduciary responsibility.
And the thing about that is, and we'll hurry. The thing about this is, we're receiving funds and we have beautiful homes that are safe and bring self-esteem and confidence. And the same $500 voucher is going to that person 10 blocks away that's got 4 broken down cars in the front yard. The washing machine doesn't work. The water heater doesn't work, and the windows are cracked and there's snow outside. In fact, there's a newspaper article from Seattle Times, 2018 that says from homelessness to hovel, and they showed how a woman was getting taxpayer money. She was a slumlord, and they were actually using taxpayer money for these horrible conditions. So Sherry and I, that's Sherry there in the red, if you can see her, and I'm right next to her. We got a bill signed that says within 3 years, there will be no more taxpayer money for substandard, uncertified homes. And that's a huge, huge improvement. And it's a great opportunity for investors who want to get in this business, because it's not hard to get certification, but when you have it, you'll have people knocking and banging on your door to get their people into your house.
In fact, that's how we got a $500,000 contract, because we were certified. And the picture to the right of that is a class that we taught, and I wanted to share that with you. This was last year. There were probably 35, 40 people in there. It was packed for 3 days. And it was people from all over the country wanting to learn how to do any type of shared housing, including adult family homes. The reason I'm bringing that forward, all 35 of those people are buying houses. So this is an investment opportunity. This may be that you're thinking, how does this affect me? There is many, many people who have been affected by addiction. I think the numbers are 70%, or people who have parents who are elderly, people with disabled adult kids who want to buy shared recovery homes. And for you as brokers, that is a selling opportunity. Next slide.
Mm-hmm.
And these are typical homes that we own, and
we love having these homes in our portfolio.
This is so fun, you guys, because these are homes that you've taken me through. These are ones that, that's exciting.
I had a line in here, but we missed a slide that I was saying we had a lot of celebrities, Rochelle, go through our houses. Pat Murray has sent her staff to our houses. Congressman Adam Smith sent his people to our house. But we have had one celebrity that we honor most, and that's Rochelle.
Yes.
She has always supported us, always made us feel good about what we're doing. And we just
have
want
to
to thank
give you a shout out.
And all the best choice for
you. Yeah.
Next slide.
Again, for me, it's like about the quality. And that's what I think that we set out at Best Choice Realty to do, quality service and take care of our people. And when I saw that was your vision, Sherry and Frank, I think that this is a huge win. And more people need to hear about what you guys are doing to help others. So super, super excited to see the pictures too. It reminds me of the visits that I had with those women.
Well, let me show you this house here. This gray house, remember that was a women's house? It's now a man's house.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah.
And then keep it even more beautifully and clean, but you ought to see the garage in there. You can eat off the floor. And all the wrenches are in order from biggest to smallest in our neighborhood of us.
So this is for you to look at later, but again, we've broken down the cash on cash and return on investment. So next slide. I see.
Don't recognize, okay.
Oops, sorry. Hang on 1 second. We're just with.
There we go.
Okay.
This is one of those, Shannon, you're going to love this. So we always talk about the financial impact on your bottom line. This is over time. And if you hit your
There
button
you go.
again.
Go. Yeah.
Over time, your balance of your mortgage is going down, your equity is going up, and your portfolio is growing. But let's think about it. Somebody else is making that house payment for you. So for all of our houses, we came in with down payments. In fact, one of the things we did is we deployed our 401k and IRA funds for some of our down payments. And we're watching all of we're building wealth, and helping people at the same time. It is really a holy grail. Next slide, please. Housing veterans, we had to bring this forward. We were sharing a little bit before the meeting with Rochelle. Our first people we housed were veterans, but we were contacted by the VA in June. They had heard about our work with King County Drug Court. So King County Drug Court is set up to keep people out of jail and prison. And so people move into our homes. We have 32 people from drug court. And our goal is to prevent this cycle of incarceration. And we've been doing very well with it for 2 years. And so we have a reputation in the community as being very, very good with people who are in need. The VA contacted us. They have 100 veterans that are justice involved, which means they've been to prison or jail. All of these people that we're going to house have had some drug problem at some point and co-occurring with PTSD from service. And asked, could we help house some of these people? And we're getting our first one in August, and we have 99 to go. And we're modifying a house to make it ADA accessible. So if you get a house, you come across that house with a wheelchair ramp,
Contact us.
Contact us, please.
In fact, contact us, and we can tell you the kind of houses we're looking for. And perhaps, we need about a dozen more houses is what we need. So contact us.
Next slide. Okay, we're going to have to pass by this. Frank wrote a song. I encourage you. It's got about 2,500 hits on YouTube.
Can you just try it and see if the music works?
I know
It works.
Let's
Try
try.
it. Turn the volume. No.
No.
Okay. Anyway, if you get a chance, that's a tearjerker, but this is a classic case where the last two lines in this song say, the greatest joy there can ever be is restoring a person's dignity, because that's what we do here. And every one of these women, the question was asked, how many women here have been homeless in the past? They all raised their hands. And now look at them. In fact, many of these people are making like $30 an hour in the trades.
Actually, more than that.
But it's just a wonderful, wonderful song. And then the last sentence in this song says, but the greatest joy you will ever see is a mother regaining her custody. And we have a whole lot of pictures of our actual women with the children that they regained back.
And Frank,
This is the tearjerker for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. We'll go on to
Kleenex on this one.
Okay, I'll get my guitar. I'll get my guitar.
He's done that. He's done that. Don't get him started.
Okay, next video quickly. And then next slide.
This is how you can help us. We're interested in the South End real estate. We have purchased lease to own. And if you bring us a lease to own, we're going to pay you a substantial fee for that too. We prefer 2,000 square feet or bigger on or near transportation.
Off-street parking.
We say minimal rehab, but Frank and I have been in there with our paintbrushes for just about anything. We've rebuilt everything. We love those open, ugly basements, where you go in and the whole downstairs is open. We know how to rebuild those. And mother-in-law or kitchenette, usually we have 2 kitchen areas, a lot of off-street parking, but we like corner lots and busy streets. Now, here's the part that's of interest. We buy our homes in our names. The homes are for profit, and we would teach you to do the same if you were interested. But Kate's House Foundation is the highest form of 501c3 charity. So if somebody was interested in providing a tax deduction, we were able to do that. So let's say you have a listing and the person saying, hey, I don't want to pay 3%. You could always say, well, what if I made part of that tax deductible to you? You always have those opportunities. We've looked into this and this is feasible. Next slide, please.
Next slide. I love this one. So about 3 years ago, Sherry and I were at our peak because we were rehabbing 3 houses. The one on the bottom left is a beautiful home in Florida with a dock off the back. The one on the bottom was that house that you saw that's in White Center. It's a beautiful house. But we also, when you buy houses and you get great cash flow and they're in appreciating neighborhoods, you can actually do something that we did. We bought $1 million condo, a 40-second walk from that beach.
But it's a short-term rental. We don't pay for that either.
Now it's a short-term rental and
except from March through June.
So we're not bragging at all, but it's amazing what leverage you have to do and opportunities you have when you're buying beautiful homes that are appreciating dramatically and you're getting a fantastic cash flow.
And the picture on the top left are a Christmas party we threw for all of our people a couple of years ago. And you can see all these happy, smiling faces. I can tell you every single one of those women have custody of their kids back, their own homes, making a good living. And so many of them say just because we gave them an opportunity and believed in them, they were able to get their self-confidence
We wake
back.
up every day to grateful people,
And
that's why we do this.
Last slide. Invest with us. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is this week, we are starting a $5 million raise through a syndication, and it's through 506C, which means we're able to advertise, and that's for qualified investors. But we're also going to be on IRA Club's, iraclub.org's Investors Row. We know the owner, Dennis Blitz, it's $1 billion fund. So people with 401k funds and IRA funds can buy houses or help us buy houses.
We've become an overnight success after five
Long
years
years.
of 18-hour days.
So we wanted to share that with you, that if you bring us a deal, we actually will have an opportunity to buy it. Or if somebody wants to get a tax deduction, or if you know somebody who wants to make a investment to invest in others, we are providing that opportunity too. I want to thank you for your time. And if there's questions, we're happy to look at those. And that's our new branding.
Well, that's cool. I love the branding. It's very simple and red, yellow, and blue. I like the color.
That's a lot. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Primary colors. It's to me, it's like getting back to some of the basics. And I love that. That kind of connotes what you guys are all about. That's
We are
awesome.
pretty basic people.
Yeah, no, that's great. Are there any questions? I think there was a few people that messaged me. So I think I have one question that came in on my text. Hang on one second. And if you want to unmute your line, you're welcome to do that. *6 to unmute.
We're raising our grandkids and they're waking up.
Oh, okay.
I'll take the question.
Question it looks like you need split levels or 2 stories. Any ramblers as well?
Absolutely, because as we mentored people in states that don't have a lot of 2 stories, but what we like to do is we find the cultures are different, like upstairs and downstairs. Some people, they don't like all to come up and have cereal around one table, they just like to stay downstairs. And so we like to where you have a kitchen one place and a kitchenette another, just so it kind of keeps it from getting too crowded.
Okay. Shannon, did you have any questions on yours?
So when you guys are investing or putting an offer together on a property, is it end up being kind of like cash?
No, actually, it's the traditional way. We either go to a bank or actually we use a lot of hard money, and we also used our IRA funds. But here, let me tell you something about when we buy. When we took these classes, they kind of teach you how to buy cheap, buy cheap. If your offer isn't cheap enough, if you're not embarrassed by your offer, it's not cheap. We don't have to do that. Our business model is so good. In fact, the last house we bought was a beautiful house with a peekaboo view of the Puget Sound. They wanted 530. We offered 540. We're just in a whole different world of investing where we just don't have to do that. Worry, about pennies and this and that. I don't know if Sherry.
What's that?
When we invest, we just use either our own investment, our refinancing, or hard money.
No, and we've done a lot of private money. So
Private money.
we've used local Juniper for 3 or 4 deals, Coventus. We found they liked what we do. And that's what you want to do. Is I made a lot of phone calls in the beginning back in 2015 and just had to find people who thought what we were doing was great. Juniper had invested in student housing because that's basically what we're doing too. And so I think we had 3 loans with them, and now do Coventus quite a bit.
Awesome. So a lot of people have asked, do you have any questions with your neighbors? With
Oh,
any,
that's the best
I love this.
question.
Listen, to national certification, you have to have a good neighbor policy, but I'll tell you what, here's the deal. First of all, we screen who comes into our house. We take the ones who are in prison, who worked really hard and who are dead serious about sobriety, getting their children back. So there we screen. Second of all, we give them quite a lecture when they come in. What have you done to deserve to come into a Kate's house and neighborhood? But I want to remind you quickly, when we were in Las Vegas in front of 500 investors, we asked a question, how many people in this room have someone they love, care about, who's struggling with addiction? 70% of the people raise their hand. So, in our blue collar neighborhoods, we have some people who are empathetic to us, but what you have to do is we have the nicest yards, we have beautiful furniture, and everybody knows that the only reason we're in that neighborhood is because our neighbors allow us to be in that neighborhood. And that is, again, why I like the fact that I'm a real estate broker, and I tell them, if our neighbors ever, we don't allow visitors, people don't come and go at night, we wave to the neighbors, we don't cause trouble. And if it ever gets to where our neighbors don't want us to be in that neighborhood, I will sell that house. Because it won't be bad. Does that make sense? You can call us up and we can give you more, but that's a big part of our success. Imagine our very diverse group of people in these neighborhoods, and they love us. You know why? We're helping solve America's biggest problem without the typical concept of trap house. And you know what a trap house is.
So the other issue is fair housing laws allow us to be there. And I've been on the phone with the city attorney of Burien, and they were supportive and sent us a letter and said we can have a house anywhere we want in their zip code. And, I think it's being educated about the fact that you have a right to be there. And we tell people what we're doing. And frequently we'll get a little bit of pushback, or we'll get I would say in the last house we bought, it's got a view of the water, it's in a really nice neighborhood. And the Block Watch captain said one of the neighbors was concerned.
And that's fair.
And that was fair, but now another neighbor runs a charitable food bank, and he's always trying to give us food, especially during the pandemic. So people do acquiesce and actually learn to care about you.
okay.
And we
Thank
also
you.
have lots of off-street parking. We don't want a lot of cars on the street. So we look for every contingent to make sure that we are good neighbors.
Okay. And then the other question is, so it's definitely furnishing the houses, 3 bedrooms per bed, 3 beds per bedroom. So
2.
bunk
Two.
beds, 2.
Never bunk beds, and the NAR national standard says 50 square feet per bed. So that means most bedrooms are about a 10 by 10. And so we can put 2 beds. In the rare case where it's under 100 square feet, that's where the house manager gets to be in a single room.
Yeah.
Okay. And then no corner lots no corner lots are not a good thing. And then transits.
No, they are a good thing.
Okay.
Yeah, corner lots are fine.
It's not a deal breaker if we can't get one, but yeah, corner lots are nice. You don't want to be too close.
I don't think we have any corner lots anymore.
No.
Yeah, and most of ours are just on busy streets or neighborhoods.
We like those busy streets where cars come by fairly briskly and don't, come by too slow. And also we have an American flag on every single house.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. American flag. That's good. What I know that one of our brokers has found an opportunity and has given it to you guys to work through. I think she had it listed, right? And she was having trouble because it was on a busy road. It was like perfect, right? And so did we just cancel the listing and then we just worked out a deal, right? Off market with her?
Oh, yes. Many years ago. Yes, when I bought house.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Tori. Yes.
So those are opportunities still exist. Like if you have a listing or somebody's listening to this that is like, oh, I can't find the right buyer or the right fit. Just don't forget about there's alternative ways of selling properties.
Perfect, Michelle. And that's what we're trying to say is if you have a house that looks like it might be ideal for us, run it by us first. We might be, and we always pay and we're highly funded. So we love that idea. The other thing is if you're working with a flipper, these flippers, run it by us. Sometimes a flipper would love to know that the house is going to be sold by the time he gets done remodeling it.
Remember,
deal for us, then we can buy it.
We were actually contacted by the people who fund flippers because they're not getting paid.
Yeah, they're not.
And they wanted to know if we would take a house off their hands.
Well,
Thank you guys.
very
Thank
much
you for the
time.
audience. We truly
You bet.
appreciate it. Take care. Bye.